It's handy. I've never done that before, so. Okay, well, they'll get part of it. Okay, so anyway, make sure it's very dark at the base of the object and then lighter as it goes away. And then you can blend that out once you get it situated to how you want it. And you do want a continuous tone, so you want it to fade very gently and gradually, and make sure it's kind of like, you know, neat and clean. So get your edges cleaned up. And then you can label this if you want to later. Too dark. Then underneath, they call this part the core shadow. And I don't think we labeled it on everything, but this is the cast shadow. What's wrong? Oh, that?
Yeah.
So you actually want to come bring it down. So you just have it too high. So bring it down like here and bring it out this way.
Okay.
And then have it come like under out here.
Okay.
You can shorten it a little bit. That's like really rough, but you get the idea. So you just need to go out to the side. Is this mine? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Go out to the side more than you did before. Okay, any questions out there? Nobody's saying anything, so I'm going to keep going. I'm guessing we're doing okay. Okay, so once you get all that stuff labeled, then we can start on the actual sphere. With this one, I actually shade with the curve. I know they look like they went this way. I don't really do it that way personally. I think it's kind of weird that they did, but hey. So when I do my spheres, I shade more with the shape of the object. So again, I would kind of do more of a curved kind of shading. Remember, you don't want to bring your shading all the way up because you have a big spot here that remains white. You don't want to draw that out though, because you just want it to kind of fade to it. So you just have to remember to not shade that part in. And then I'm going to leave just a tiny space in between the cast shadow for the reflected light. Because if I get it too close to it, then those two values just kind of blend and I don't see the difference between the shadow and the shape. So this one's a little tricky because you're trying to shade on a curve, but I just kind of do like one side and then kind of turn my wrist the other way and do the other side. I don't know why they shaded that way in that direction. I wouldn't, because it would take away from the shape, I feel like, and make it look a little bit more flat. And then just kind of keep bringing this in. And it's going to look kind of messy at first with a lot of lines until you like blend it out to make it smooth. And I just have basic gray down, so I'm going to go back with like a 2B and start doing a little bit darker down here. Also, you're going to get less lines with the softer lead. So it's just a softer kind of pencil, just like if you notice the difference between Prismas and Crayolas. When you're using them, you get more lines when you use Crayolas and it's harder to smooth it out. So same with the drawing pencils. That's like the difference between using drawing pencils versus just using one pencil. It will give you a smoother tone. Okay, remember here you want to have a number 4 value. So you want to make sure that your cast shadow is darker than this one. So if you find that they're getting too close, you can always go back and darken up this one a little bit if necessary. And you want to leave a little bit of light gray there. And it's just like colored pencil. It's not a fast pencil, and colored pencil are not fast mediums. They're just not. They take a lot of time, a lot of layers to get them right. So if you like things to move very quickly, these might not be your favorite mediums. They do take a lot of like time and patience to get it right, but when you do, it's very cool. And then they kind of took a little bit of a gray on the edge, but kind of leaving that highlight open. Okay, and then once you get it about where you want it, you can blend it out and then go back in and fix it up. And then a lot of times you will need to go back in and kind of smooth and clean up your edges. If you hit your highlight and you get too much like smeared in there and you don't want it there, you can just try to clean it up, you know, as best you can with an eraser. You do want a little bit of light gray to kind of fade out there, but you don't want it to look like you smudged it all. Sure. All right, so I'm gonna assume we're doing okay because nobody's saying anything. So hopefully we're moving right along here. And then I'm done, but I'm just gonna kind of go back and, you know, neaten things up a bit. So clean things up. And you guys will have time at the end to go back too. So if you want to add anything to
I have to go.
who was that?
Maddie.
Oh. Oh, do you have an appointment or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so we pretty good on our sphere, I hope. Are you guys still working on the sphere? Yeah. Okay. So hopefully you left your highlight. Kind of comparing the two, you can see looks pretty close, right? Doesn't have to be exact. You're just trying to get close to it. So comparing those two looks, you know, fairly close to that. You do want to watch that it doesn't look very stripy. So the way to do that is to just keep going over it and making sure that you're fading it. So you don't want it to look like it has a bunch of stripes. You want it to look like it's fading from one value to the next. So if it looks kind of stripy, go in a circular motion kind of over it and fade it out a little bit. If you are done, if you'd like to, you can go on to labeling your cube. And if you're not done with your sphere, go ahead and finish it. And you can always go back to it too.
Miss Watson, what were the two notes, like the last two notes that you wrote for like the sphere? What did they say?
On down here, it's this is the core shadow, which is like your number 4, and then your cast shadow is this big shadow right here. That's underneath the object.
Okay, thank you.
It's also on this sheet, but I know if you guys have the Zoom open with me on the screen, you probably can't, you know, look at this too. But if what I would suggest is going on to this sheet like later, you know, before you turn this in. I think I have this due Thursday. So you'll have time in class to pop this up when I'm not on the camera and you can check it over and just make sure you got your labels and stuff on there. It's more or less just to help you guys to understand and to kind of use as a reference for when you're doing your final copies. I just thought I would go ahead and start like labeling this with the light source. And so I'm just directly copying off of this sheet here. So I just labeled my cube with the lightest on the top, the darkest on the right, the medium value on the front, and my little light source thing here. So I was just labeling these. And again, you can always go back later and just copy it off of this because this is on Schoology. So if you don't get all your labels on, don't worry about that right now. You can go back. So what I'm going to do next is create my cast shadow for my cube. So how I do that is I'm simply going to draw it. Basically, it comes straight out from the side here on the right. So for some reason, this is the only one they did on the right, but so we'll just do it the same way. So basically, it's kind of a straight line coming out and then just kind of continuing the bottom of the cube out. And this one's kind of small. And that's really all they do is kind of just continue the cube line out. And then you just take your 6B if you have it, or 3B, or whatever B you have, or heavy pressure. And I kind of put a line here to get me started. And then we're going to go out horizontally and just kind of fill in our cast shadow. And we do want to go dark at the base of the object. So it's dark here and then go out and go lighter as we go away from the object because it's receiving less light. So I usually use like a 2B and then I kind of switch to an H on my shadows and just kind of fade those out from there. And then it just kind of like tapers off. They don't really like have like an end line. It just kind of ends with the fade. All right, sweet. We almost finished. All right, so if you are in the classroom, you can go ahead and leave the Zoom. The rest of you guys that are on Zoom, we will wrap this up tomorrow because I'd rather just keep going. Since we have 20 minutes, I think we can kind of finish it off because all we have left to do is the cube. So if you can please keep this handy, it will smear, so be careful. Like, you know, if you put something on top of it, just be careful you don't get it all smeared up. And then we'll finish the cube tomorrow and you'll turn that in and we'll be good to go. Okay. If there's any questions, you can stay back. Otherwise, you're free to go. I'll see you for Remote Wednesday tomorrow.
Miss Watson, I have a quick question about my Bob Ross
Yeah.
painting. Am I allowed to like pick a new one?
Are you what, honey? I'm sorry.
Am I allowed to pick a new one?
You're going to do the whole thing over again?
Yeah, but I might like try to get it done like this week.
I mean, that's up to you. It's your project, Gianna.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Miss Watson. Bye.
Bye, honey. You're welcome.
Miss Watson.
Yeah.
So for the Bob Ross painting, since it was like due on Friday and I didn't turn mine in yet, do you get a point off every day, like some of the projects were, if you don't turn it in on time or something like that?
Yeah, the main projects are supposed to be a point a day, but obviously the weekends don't count. So if it was due on Friday and you turned it in on Monday, you just lose 1 point. You know what I mean? And then it's 2 points on Tuesday and it keeps going. I max out at 5 though. And those aren't rubric points, they're just points. So like say you got a 95, then if you lost 5 points for being 5 days late, you would get a 90. You still have an A, but it does count. You know, it does hurt you a little bit. So I would try to wrap it up and get it in as soon as you can, okay? All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.